before we get into the video, the reason why I've been gone for a few days is because I've been watching Southern Pacific 4449 Michigan Odyssey by Michigan Productions. If you want to watch 4449 Michigan Odyssey, each volumes are each sold separately. Or if you want to buy all of the 5 discs, I suggest buying the 5 disc set, which includes, this shit is hard. There we go. This includes Volume 1, Oregon to Montana, Volume 2, Montana to Michigan. This one says Montana to Michigan, but I'm watching Volume 3. And then Montana to Oregon, and then Volume 5, it's Highland Cab Ride, which shows the cab ride from Havre, Montana to some other area. I forgot. Also at the back is the description of the thing. In Volume 1, it's the 4449 departs from Portland across Washington, Idaho, and Montana. In Volume 3, it covers it from Havre, Montana to North Dakota. I said Dakota. North Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, and Indiana to Train Festival 2009 in Owasso, which also includes Nickel Plate 765. And Volume 3 is the home trip, but Highland Cab Ride, it shows onboard footage of inside of the 4449. I forgot to mention, it also has bonus clips at the end of every single volume instead of Highland Cab Ride. And again, make sure to get your copy today from Michigan Productions. Oh yeah, also I forgot to say that there's no footage of Michigan Odyssey on the internet, cause the only way you can watch this is on DVD. So I think you forgot about that, Markham. But the only actual footage on the internet is just the trailer. So all of this footage in this DVD right here is rare footage, which you cannot find on the internet. You can only find this on you can only find this in this DVD set. This is the only way you can watch this. Also, I'll give you a little sneak peek of Michigan Odyssey. Also, this wouldn't be possible without Michigan Productions. And again, get your copy today. I hope you guys like my little promotion. But if you're a big real fan, and if you're a really big fan of the 4449, I suggest buying this program. It's worth it, trust me. And now it's time to get back to the video. After Real Fair 99, the 4449 head back to Portland to start a new era of excursions. After 1999, the Southern Pacific route that the 4449 took to California and Sacramento was now owned by the Union Pacific. By now, the Southern Pacific route did not exist no more. My theory is, well, it's confirmed why, but I don't know exactly why. So my theory is that it lost from bankruptcy. It is confirmed why it didn't exist no more. But I'm thinking about what happened to the Milwaukee Road. Yes, I'm talking to you, 261. But anyways, after 1999, that route was now owned by Union Pacific, which means the 4449 was now restricted to wherever it can go now. Which means the 4449 cannot pull its all-daylight passenger train. In 2000, the 4449 was painted black for the BNSF Appreciation Special. This excursion went from Oregon, Washington, and British Columbia, home of BC Rail. No, not now. In early 2001, the 4449 was still in its black pink scheme, but then pulled a freight train on the Portland and Western. That same year, the 4449 pulled an excursion between Washington and Oregon. But then, on September 11th, 2001, tragedy struck. On September the 11th, 2001, America would change forever. On September the 11th, in 2001, two planes hit the World Trade Center in downtown Manhattan. The first tower to be hit would be the North Tower, but the second tower would be the South Tower. There are some videos of 9/11 that are really super graphic, which I cannot show on YouTube. Then, two more planes crashed. One plane crashing into the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., and one crashing in a field in Pennsylvania. In total, 3,000 people died on September the 11th, 2001. Today, the Twin Towers stand right next to the new building called the Freedom Tower, aka the One World Trade Center. Instead, the World Trade Center is a memorial with all of the people who died in 9/11. Back to the 4449, in 2002, for the victims of 9/11, 4449 was repainted back to its American Freedom Train that it wore in 1975. The excursion went from Portland, Oregon to Bend and returned. For some reason, this is like the most popular and like most like used routes, like excursion. I'm more familiar with cross country trips, because cross country excursions are like my favorite type of excursions. Not like excursions are like 400, 300 miles away. Not those type of things, no. That same year, the Oregon Rail Heritage Foundation was formed. Then, in 2003, the 4449 did some train trips along Oaks Park in its AFT livery. Then, the 4449 made an excursion from Portland, Oregon to Montana to perform some train rides along Montana. Later on in the excursion, a backup engine behind the 4449's auxiliary tender was added to the contest. In 2005, the Holiday Express was open to the public. Every year in November and December, the 4449 or Spokane, Portland, Seattle number 700 would perform some holiday train rides along Oaks Park. But then Spokane, Portland, Seattle number 700 and 4449 both derailed on a curve while doing the Holiday Express. The train has to be canceled, and then eventually the two locomotives were re-railed back onto the track. Earlier that same year, Spokane, Portland, Seattle number 700 and 4449 performed a doubleheader from Portland, Oregon to Wishram, and of course, and back. In September of 2006, the 4449 made an excursion from Portland to Bend, Oregon, and returned. Then, In 2007, Union Pacific 844 and 4449 made a doubleheader from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, Washington. The 844 traveled from Cheyenne, Wyoming, all the way to Oregon and returned. This trip actually looks way more longer than you think it is. After the trip, 844 returned back to Cheyenne, Wyoming. On July 3rd, 2009, the 4449 departed Portland, Oregon for Owasso, Michigan, which was 5,000 miles away. 10 states and 21 days of the 4449. This was one of the 4449's longest cross-country trip in America, which in 1984 hold the world record of the longest steam excursion in U.S. history. Once the 4449 arrived at Owasso, the 4449 would pull 2 passenger trains on July 23rd and July 24th. There were a lot of steam locomotives at Owasso, Michigan. These locomotives being Nickel Plate 765, Paramark at 1225, Little River Railroad number 1 and 110, and Flat Coal number 75, and the Leviathan number 63. Also, Nickel Plate 765 actually made some train rides on July 25th and 26th. But sadly, the Paramark Cat 1225 didn't pull any trains for maintenance, but it was eventually steamed up. At the end of the all-day excursion trains, all of the steam locomotives that were there would do a photo shoot at night or at the evening. Unfortunately, the 4449's front trailing wheels derailed on one of the curves at Owasso. The 4449 eventually did get back on the tracks and continued on with the photo shoot. Sadly, fun always has an end. On July 31st, 2009, the 4449 departed Owasso, Michigan for Chicago, Illinois. Unfortunately, clearance issues ruined the trip to Chicago, so the 4449 and the Amtrak locomotive had to meet up in Indiana. On October 10th and the 11th, the 4449 made some fall color trips for the 261 in Minnesota. Before the fall color trips happened, the 4449 spent the whole month in December in the Friends of 261's roundhouse. Fast forwarding back to October, on October 13th, 2009, it was time for the 4449 to head back home. 5,000 miles, 21 days of the 4449, traveling across America. On October 20th, 2009, the 4449 arrived in Portland, back to the Brooklyn Roundhouse. 2 years later, in 2011, the 4449 made an excursion from Portland, Oregon to Wishram, Washington, and returned. That same year, it also made an NSHR convention excursion from Portland, Oregon to Washington. Also, its Northern Pacific Hancock 3 chime was showing its age. In 2012, the 4449 would make its final excursion, which was Portland, Oregon to Bend, Oregon, and return. The reason why it was its last excursion was because the 4449 was getting a 15-year inspection, which means every 15 years a steam locomotive needs a 15-year inspection, which in this matter, the 4449 needed an overhaul. And this overhaul took 2 years, which was kind of pretty fast for a steam locomotive. In 2013, National Train Day happened in Portland Union Station. Instead of the 4449, Spokane Portland Seattle number 700 took the role instead of 4449. In 2015, the 4449 overhaul was finally done. And in 2017 and 2018, it made some few excursions. Yeah. In 2017, the 4449 made excursion from Portland, Oregon to Bend, Oregon in 2017. Then, in 2018, the 4449 made excursion from Portland, Oregon to Vancouver, Washington for the IMAX movie Train Time. Also, the 4449 did some photo charters in the Brooklyn Rail Yard that same year. But then, when in 2019 and in 2020, COVID hit. When COVID-19 happened, the Oregon Rail Heritage Foundation had to shut down Holiday Express and the 4449's daily excursions, which means the 4449 cannot make its daily excursions like it did back in the 1990s and early 2000s. This means that the 4449 won't be making excursions so often anymore, which also means the 4449 is restricted of where it can go now. Today, the 4449 is on display at the Oregon Rail Heritage Center with Spokane, Portland, Seattle number 700, Oregon Road Navigation number 191, Nickel Plate Road, Alco PA number 190, and many others. I really hope that you enjoyed 4449 Steam of America. I worked very hard on this documentary, and I really hope you enjoyed these documentaries. And always, this has been Southern Pacific 4449 Productions, and see you soon.